About 2 years ago, I was trained by a man called Steve Peters, who, if you haven't heard of him, it will mean nothing to you at all. But if you have, you'll think, oh yeah, Steve Peters, he's a psychiatrist. That doesn't mean that you need to see me, as in I'm not a psychiatrist. But for a long time, I've been working either as a performance coach in business and in sport, and also I'm a psychologist by background. So I worked with Steve and his team, and he wrote a book called The Chimp Paradox. It's an interesting book. It raises lots of questions. So there's some famous people that he's helped to achieve their goals in sport. So some of you will probably know who they are. People like Chris Hoy, Victoria Pendleton, and even famous people have moments of doubt when they're training in sport. And as I was driving here, it was a good indication of the fact that although we think we're in control of our own minds, we're not really. Because it was bucketing with rain, and then there was a traffic jam, and then there was the races, and then a part of me could quite happily have gone home and thought, I don't want to run, this is just a horrible, horrible evening. So I'm sure loads of you, even people that are really fit, can identify that there are some days when you just don't feel like coming. So what I'm going to try and do is to help you understand that part of the pain in any sport or in any aspect of life is that some parts of you want to do A, some parts of you want to do B. So Steve's theory is actually based on the neurology of the brain. So we know that we've got an emotional centre of the brain. So we've developed over many, many years, as I'm sure you'll know. And actually, part of the dilemma for us is we've evolved this part, the thinking part of our brain. That's the bit that says, George's second list of foods will be the things that will be healthy to eat. And they're the ones that will mean that I don't get terrible cramps and wind when I'm running. And it will mean that it's less antisocial for people running behind me. I really must eat those foods. The other bit of the brain, which is the old bit, will say stuff that I really want to have. A binge on alcohol, a nice piece of cake and cheese and anything that's fattening. And once it's started, it will say, well, now I've started, I might as well just carry on. So what Steve's theory is that he's nicely packaged that into the bit that's emotional, the old part of the brain, controls all of the drives. So all the things that we like that get us into trouble, like drinking, like food, like sex, like sleeping, like all the things that really are fun. And then the thinking bit tells us to go to work, earn the money, etc., etc. And when he comes to training people in sport, what he tries to do is to help them understand that if you don't align those two, you're not going to be able to commit to your training goals. So one of the problems that we get in sport is when we beat ourselves up, usually because the gym will derail you. So what he'll say, which is easier said than done, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't be making a profession out of it, is that at any time that you feel that you're doing something you don't want, your chimp is hijacking you. So there's two particular strands that I'm going to go into more detail with that I'm hoping that I'll teach you some skills with. One is actually how to identify which parts of you are thinking which things, and probably just looking at your faces, each of you knows a bit about your own chimp. We probably all do, really. Children get this really quickly, which is why in his business he couldn't teach this to schools, because the children got it quicker than the teachers. So actually we know very much what the things are about us that derail us. But for example, you'll meet lots of people that will say the time we have to run needs to be 6:30 because they go home to get changed. And there's a possibility they might find the biscuit tin, they might find the television remote control, they might find a number of different things that will stop them from coming on the run. So one of the things I'm going to explain to you as well is about why join a group. Yesterday, Connor will know this, I was quite incensed because I heard, I don't even remember who it was now, someone talking about the park run in Littlestoke that's obviously they're thinking of charging for. And it was a person who calls himself a runner who talked about groups and said he didn't agree with groups. What I'm going to do is explain to you a number of different things. One is why it's important not to beat yourself up. So if you do a training session and you call yourself stupid or useless, or you say that even if you're an elite runner and you think that you didn't do as well as you did the last time you did that race, then actually what we know is it stimulates the threat centre in the brain. So it actually has a neurochemical reaction which is unhelpful for you. And if you've had a bad incident, so a good example would be, say, I don't know, you were going for a run and say a dog came out and you're very frightened of dogs and you thought the dog was going to bite you, then actually the more that you say to yourself, you're a wimp, you should be able to cope with this, the worse it's going to get for you. So it seems like a small thing, but some of those tiny, tiny things can make a big difference in when you're rehearsing. So we need you to be more confident, we need you to believe that you've got potential, which is really, I suppose, partly what group running is about. and it depends on your own personal preference, really. So some of the beating yourself up is about your chimp and how it tells you to do the opposite to what you want to do. And some of it is how you might threaten yourself by telling yourself bad things, and the other is around confidence. So I don't know if anybody else identifies with this, but one of the things that got me into running with groups was the fear factor of teenage girls. Teenage girls are quite scary individuals, I find. And when I first went running, I felt that the hassle that I got from kids if I ran past a school was just terrifying, but in a group it was okay. So that's obviously my chimp. So if we think about that then, what I'm going to do is trying to get you to understand the link between performance and self-talk, to have a model to understand how you will be talking to yourself. And we've thought about, I'm developing some materials that will go on the website that you can use yourself. If you want me to go through some of them with you, then I will do in the talks. How you can promote coping, and thinking about giving you some of the positive techniques that we use with elite performers. So for example, if you think about Luis Suarez, when he was working with Steve Peters, he stopped biting. I don't know what he's doing now, but he stopped biting. Or you'll also hear, and I'll talk about this next time, that people will not say, I really messed up in that race. So Lewis Hamilton was being interviewed today. He's got a 5-point penalty. He didn't say, yeah, it's absolutely horrendous. When I start this race, it's obvious that I'm going to lose. It's really a big disadvantage to me. I'm gutted. What he said was, yeah, you know, it's pretty difficult that, but we're going to manage that. We're going to do this. So actually what you say is very, very important. And we know from lots of research in business that if you believe you can do something, you're more likely to achieve it.